There's a poll in the chat of who's got the best squad depth, so get involved in that in the chat if you haven't already. But let's split it up into defence, midfield and attack for Arsenal and Liverpool, and we'll see where we're at. I think starting with defence, I can back my own club here.
Okay.
Just because we sign a centre-back every window. I think Arteta's done something like 8 transfer windows or 9, and he's signed a centre-half or a full-back in every one bar like 1 January.
You're still waiting for one to come back as well, aren't you?
Oh yeah, Hincapie's coming in. Like
yeah, at some point as well. I think defensively this season, you've kind of got to give tip your hat towards Arsenal in terms of not only that stability, you've got that continuity from a defensive back line as well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Liverpool bringing in the 2 full-backs in the summer has changed the makeup of our defensive line. I think in terms of your defensive record so far this season as well, you've been really resolute in defence. You've looked very difficult to break down. Obviously, it took a Szoboszlai wonder strike from a free kick in order for Liverpool to get the W's over us a couple of weeks back. So I definitely think in terms of pound for pound, man for man at this moment in time, I think Arsenal probably do have more depth in, squad depth in terms of that quality in defence. But again, I think in terms of on the day, I think you can both field as good as each other's 11s. I just think you are more settled, stable at this moment in time, understand exactly what system that Arteta wants his defenders to play, and I think it's working for you. So from your perspective, it's not broke, don't fix it. But I think Liverpool are still looking to tinker with things a little bit. They're still trying to find out who is the best back line for Liverpool at this moment. Is it going to be Bradley? Is it going to be Frimpong? There's still conversations to be had there. Likewise on the other side, Kirkes and Robbo both have had a bit of indifferent form. And it's hard to really hang your hat on any of them to be the set starter. And then obviously Konaté's form so far has been very questionable this season. The only real mainstay that as a Liverpool fan we can kind of say, right, we'll go to war for is obviously the big man at back, Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, I mean Arsenal's. It seems like Arsenal have added numbers in their defence, but they haven't. It's just everyone's been so absent. It seems like we've got more, if that makes sense. Like Tomiyasu went out the door and we've brought in Hincapie, and Kieran Tierney got released. So people that were here but were never available, we've just replaced them with more depth, which is, I guess that's the advantage we had, that the players that left us were the fringe players anyway, whereas you've obviously had Trent to replace, and Robertson's aging. So it's kind of a different process, right? Of like our depth is, we had the advantage of being able to add depth, whereas you're kind of rebuilding your defence a bit more.
And I think that's why you heard Mo Salah say that Arsenal are the favourites for the league to our very own Cecil.
Mind games.
It's mind games, but I also think he does have a point, because in terms of a squad that's been together, the core of it, when you look at the 2 centre backs have been there for 5 years each. Obviously Odegaard's been there for probably about 5 years. Saka's there. Martinelli's been there for 5 years. There's a lot of continuity and stability there, and you added your little bits that you think are going to take you from second to first in terms of a striker, even more midfield and defensive backup. So you have all the ingredients, and that's why I say whether Liverpool are in the mud or not, whether we're top or second, Arsenal should be winning the league this year in terms of one, for Arteta's sake. If he doesn't win the league this year or Champions League, I don't think most people would put up with it anymore. But also just because of the fact that they've come second 3 times in a row now, and they need it, I would say, more than Liverpool in a way. So
100%.
So I would say, they do it a little bit differently to Liverpool, but
Arsenal have been the exception to the rule as well. When you deep it, like most times you've got that kind of that old saying that defences win your titles, goals will win your games, but defences are going to win your titles. But Arsenal have been the exception to that rule. The last 2 seasons they probably had one of the best, if not the best, defensive records in the Premier League, but they've struggled to actually get it over the line. So it's obviously been the goals in certain games or losing to teams that on paper you should probably beat, and putting them away to obviously to lock up the 3 points. So I think from that perspective, he's got the foundation defensively now. It's about what happens further up the pitch from an Arsenal perspective to see if they can get that magic stardust in order to add that last little bit of quality, as Alex alluded to there. That guy up top is all I heard all summer. It was the missing piece. If we get the missing piece, if we get that
the
striker,
Infinity Stones on the glove.
literally that. If we're able to lock that in and we get that striker, then we should be able to win the league. And it's like, all right, well, it remains to be seen, but this is your best chance to do that now as well.
100%.
So yeah, I think defensively, I'll give it to Arsenal, but I think there's still conversations to be had around attack and midfield.
Yeah, I think just the last thing on that, I think you've hit the nail on the head there with the reasons why Arsenal haven't won things, because weirdly I think we've had the best defence in the league sort of 3 years in a row, but we've been the top scorers or the second top scorers for a lot of those seasons as well. But it has been, like you say, we'll put 6 past West Ham, we'll put 5 past Sheffield United, but then we'll go and lose to Fulham.
Yeah.
So our goal difference actually looks really good, but it is that, like, who's breaking down Fulham away, or when we go to Anfield, who's just doing that who's hitting that Szoboszlai free kick in the Arsenal squad? Like, no one.
No.
But even just picking it up from 30 yards and just hitting one, like, no one's really done that in previous years. So hopefully they get that over the line. But look, let's get into midfield. Odegaard, Norgard, Nwaneri, Rice, Zubimendi, Marino is what I can put forward for us. But I mean, you're pretty stacked.
Yeah, McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Wataru Endo, Curtis Jones,
Stefan
Bajcetic, my man.
Florian Wirtz.
Florian Wirtz. And I mean, imagine if we kept hold of Harvey Elliott as well. He was, very late on, he left.
But that's a lot for a 3-man midfield. I'd say that's numbers-wise pretty equal. But
yeah,
quality-wise,
I'd say it's probably equalish as well. But obviously, our midfield has won a title. It has crossed the line.
I can't win any of these arguments, can I?
Yeah, you're gonna struggle with the
it's gonna be
with
tough.
the midfield because I think,
and our midfield, like two of our midfielders were in the team of the year last year.
Yeah, McAllister and Gravenberch.
The only thing I'd say about our midfield that would give me an argument to you is, I think position for position we can fill every gap.
Yeah.
Like if Zubimendi goes down, Rice can do the 6. If Odegaard goes down, I didn't even mention Eze, he can come in. I feel like Liverpool, you've got so much quality, but it is the, like, if Gravenberch goes down, do you have a second 6, or is it just another quality player fills the gap? But I think quality-wise, you're right up there.
Yeah, I think the quality point is an excellent one, because I think the quality is there, but in terms of how specialist that Gravenberch has become at playing the 6 for us, he's not just just a screen, or does it very simply. He's not a destructive midfielder in that sense either. He's pretty much a line breaking runner with the ball, so he doesn't really make those line breaking passes in the same way, but he's going to make those runs straight through the lines and carry the ball 20-30 yards up the pitch.
He goes from a 6 to an 8 to a 10, where he's on the edge of the box knocking it to Mo Salah, and he's just taking it 30 yards.
Exactly.
You're right.
And again, it's a very unique skill set that he's got, and we don't really have anybody else.
Yeah, like Gravenberch to an Endo, it's a DM to a DM, but the shift in everything is so different.
Stylistically, they are worlds apart. The closest probably, and again, the quality drop-off is probably a big one in terms of the gap, but the closest in terms of mould and profile is probably Stefan Bajcetic.
Yeah.
In terms of what Gravenberch can do, they both kind of got that leggy range where they can drop a shoulder, make that turn and break the lines with a little bit of running that they both do. But again, obviously we've not, in a Liverpool shirt, we've not seen Bajcetic for the best part of nearly 2 seasons now. Obviously he was away last season, then injured the season before a little bit towards the back end. So in terms of seeing if it's viable as him to be dropped in at this moment in time, is probably not. So I think where Liverpool are concerned, we're probably relying on trying to keep Gravenberch, McAllister, Jones and Wirtz as fit as possible. So there's a little bit of an opportunity for rotation, but they're all still probably going to be the mainstays for that function in midfield for us, really. Whereas I think Arsenal have got horses for courses. I think there'll be some games
I think
where
we can chop and change more. Like I say, if Zubimendi goes down, fine, drop Rice into the 6, put Odegaard and Eze ahead of him, or you can bring Marino in there. Like, you can sort of get away with everyone out, but I'll let you cast the deciding vote, because like you say, yours has won a title, mine hasn't won a title. So
I think you've probably got the more maybe sexy names in terms of, like, obviously Rice is in there.
Norgard.
No, but you know what I mean by that. You've got an Eze that can play in midfield, and Odegaard. These are all like creative players, but in terms of like what is going to be successful, I think the balance that we had last year. Do you know what? Last year's balance in our midfield was the first time I think we've had balance like that since Gini Wijnaldum, Henderson and Fabinho. And I think just that synergy, because you've got legs in Sobo, you've got technique in Ryan and Alexis and Dom, to be fair. You've got a bit of everything, a bit of grit, a bit of nastiness. So
we had one of the best midfields last season. I know a lot of people may hyped up Newcastle's midfield, but I just thought in terms of Liverpool got the job done. Liverpool were,
that midfield did run out of steam.
Yeah,
I would say,
which is why I think the additions that we've done this season are going to be really important to that, because as we've already kind of spoken about so far, is the ability for Slot now to kind of rotate and trust other people. Form is going to really be dependent on that, and we've still got to get bed players in to get them to the high levels and where the expectation marries up to the output. At the moment, we're a little way away from that, so I can't say with the utmost confidence that our midfield is currently the best, but I think when it clicks I think that Arsenal midfield versus Liverpool's midfield, pound for pound, I still think Liverpool probably just edge it in that midfield engine room.
Yeah, I'm all right with that, and I think it's difficult as well because obviously Wirtz has come in for you guys, completely different profile. Like if you want to play the same formation you played last year, dropping Wirtz in as that 8 is going to be difficult. So you either have to adapt to the 2 6s and a 10, or he plays off the left. So look, there's things to work out.
I think that's the other thing as well. I think Mikel Arteta probably knows his best midfield.
Yes.
Whereas I don't think Slot does currently know what his best midfield looks like, and I think that's probably a big factor there.
Yeah, and he knows if one goes out, how he needs to readdress that balance. But it is kind of like you've got to play Wirtz, but then that means that maybe you don't get the best out of these two players. And it will take time to figure it out. But look, Benj in the chat says, "Whoa, thought that other guy was Doyle before it cut to him."
Yeah,
but no, it's not.
Doyle, bro, but yeah.
But this is one I don't think we're really going to debate for that long. The forwards. Do I give it to you now, or do you want to actually?
Yeah, I'll let you argue your case in the first instance. I'll let you try and
last
argue
season
your
and
case.
this season it's Liverpool. And
Yeah, I think
I've said
so.
for a few seasons now, Liverpool have got the most firepower in terms of that attack. It's just, again, can it all click, and will it click in good time for Liverpool this season? I think obviously, I think a lot of football fans across the football spectrum all said if Liverpool sign Alexander Isak, just wrap the league up.
Yeah.
And
I
just
mean, what are your strikers? Ekitike,
Isak. We've got obviously Chiesa. We've got Salah for that right hand side, and then Gakpo, Rio on the left hand side.
Can fill that right slot if when Salah goes AFCON.
Dan's is in the mix as well. I think the interesting thing would be obviously how heavily reliant we are if and when Mo Salah gets up to full speed, and how heavily reliant we are when he comes to AFCON, and who then comes in and replaces him.
I think when Salah goes to AFCON, I think we're much more likely to see Ekitike and Isak in the same team. Just to balance that kind of workload and the output, because without Salah you're probably losing 30 odd goals a season. So without him, that's where you're going to see maybe a Chiesa, Isak and Ekitike all in the same team.
Yeah, I think with our attack as well, like whether they're firing at the moment, we're still scoring quite a lot of goals in terms of the goals that we've put in at the moment. We're still on the same amount of goals at this point of the season as we was last season. So the scoring goals isn't the problem. Whereas if I flipped it towards the Arsenal's perspective, getting the most out of a Gyökeres right now seems to be not necessarily a big ask, but that seems to be the conundrum.
I mean,
how does he do that? Because you can't knock his goals, and you can't say he's not prolific, and he's got all the ability to be, up there putting up silly numbers like a Haaland has in the past. But will Arteta be able to unlock that, and will he be able to get that out of him this season, in a season where the expectation is Arsenal win because they've got that striker
Just on Liverpool's defence, right? If Jarrell Quansah was still available and at Liverpool and we didn't send him out on loan, and let's say, touchwood, he isn't, Konate is injured for Sunday, even though maybe touchwood he is at the minute.
The final statement, Arsenal have the best squad in the league. Do we agree or disagree? Because I think we've given you attack and midfield was close and we took defence.
Over squad depth and not just 11, I'm going to say I'm agree with the statement.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Yeah.